Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
If you can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and look at this. Finally joining me once again, my good brother from the Fight Game Podcast. It's John LaRocca. How's it going, man?
Man, it's so good to be back. I feel like, what's that? Is it GIF? They call them GIFs. That's the real name.
Gifts.
That little, is it GIF or chip? Whatever. Anyways, you know that one of the little kids in the street is run to each other and hug?
Oh,
Have you seen that one? That's us, dude. That's us, right?
Absolutely.
It's been forever. It's been
I
forever since
know.
I've been on the Kliq.
I mean, I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, when was he on last time? I was like, I didn't look. I should have double checked and looked, but I think it literally, well, it was before WrestleMania. I know that for sure. Yeah. I was trying to think, was it Ring of Honor, the last Ring of Honor show or something? Actually, I forgot to ask you that off the air. You see, Ring of Honor has another show coming up in mid-July.
With fans, though.
Yes, with fans. So we should maybe watch that one. I'm just throwing it out there already. Yeah. We could talk more about that later. But sorry, we meant to record like almost an hour ago, but we've been playing catch up on
all our
so
good
much
materials
stuff.
Is not even recorded. But I hope you enjoy the show.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's so good to see you. A sight for sore eyes, right? Is that the right term? I think so. I think so. That's what Marty McFly said to his girlfriend in Back to the Future Part 2. Was it Part 1 or Part 1?
Oh my God. No, Dave Dutra, that's his favorite movie all time, so he would let us, Part 2, right? When they go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Tommy in the background's giving us the signs.
Yeah, no, was it Part 2, Tommy? Sorry. Yeah, so everyone listening, Tommy, my brother Tommy is in the room as well. Oh my God, now I'm totally spacing. Yeah, sight for sore eyes.
Now I'm going to get a paragraph text from Dave Dutra.
Yes, who,
local
by the way,
pro wrestler here. Yeah.
I hung out with him last weekend. He said nothing but good things about you. He put you over so hard. So it was very cool. No, it was the last couple weekends I've been checking out some of the local indie promotions here in the Bay Area that have been starting back up. And a couple weekends ago, I went to East Bay Pro Wrestling. I haven't seen them in person in like years. But Philip also been on In The Kliq, wanted to go, so I said, I'll go with you. And that was a lot of fun. And then, last weekend, same thing, Philip got the last minute call to do some commentary for some UGWA matches. So I wanted to support my bro and check him out. But unfortunately, I got there late. I had a little fender bender. I know I haven't told you about that one.
No.
Oh my God. Long story short, a little bumper to bumper action at my local CVS. So I had to take care of the paperwork and stuff. And so it was like a whole 45-minute ordeal. So I was late for like the first couple matches of the show. So I missed Philip's actual play-by-play opportunity, but I felt so bad. But there's video of it, so I can make up for it watching it that way. So, but no, Dave Dutra, who's the new Battle King character or gimmick that he's been doing. He's the champion for UGWA, so he was in the main event. So afterwards, he was coming out and he came up to me and gave me a hug and we sat down and chatted for a good while. But yeah, we were putting you over. We were both talking about you and stuff. And no, it was a lot of fun. It was great.
Is it UGWA or they just call it UGWA?
Everyone says UGWA for short, but yeah, it's UGWA, the initials.
Let's stick with that. UGWA seems to I don't know. I like this. I'm gonna say UGWA.
Yeah, no, I've heard.
Sounds like a wrestling promotion when you say it like that.
I've heard other people say that too. So yeah, it's but no, so it's cool seeing Dave wrestle because I haven't seen him wrestle in. God, not to go on this whole tangent about Dave Dutra's career right now, but I haven't seen him wrestle. I think since APW when he turned on Starboy. And attacked him in the ring with the chair. And like, literally, we were talking about that. And because that was the end of 2019, I want to say.
Yeah. Because usually APW kind of closes down for the holidays.
And
starts back up usually in February. But when that happened, it was the pandemic. So
yeah. And so we were talking, and he was telling me just about the whole Battle King. I wish he had him on. I'll let him explain it better. But yeah, he had the whole Battle King gimmick that he wanted to go with, and how the money invested in it and ready to go to have it show it off here at APW in the Bay Area. But the pandemic was on hold. But on the bright side, he got to debut it on AEW Dark. So for him, that was a big, very cool opportunity there.
Yeah, Dave goes all out. Like when I was booking APW, my first run at booking APW, I was turning him heel, but I wanted to do this thing where this masked guy was helping another wrestler named Derek Sanders, and of course that was going to be Dave Dutra.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we need some kind of mask and gear that I want no one to know who it is. Like I want you to throw punches differently. I want a total different. I want people not to. Who's this guy? I don't want to guess your body language or anything, right?
Interesting.
And he went out and bought this whole deal, man. This black mask and full bodysuit deal and everything. Like he went out.
Was it like who's in WCW, Tommy? The guy that eventually turned out to be Ric Flair, but
the Black Scorpion.
Black Scorpion, yeah,
something similar, but it was pretty. Like a lot of people didn't even know, and like one of his really good friends and my friend as well is Kevin Lacey ends up being the premier wrestling ring announcer. He didn't know for a long time. So when we were kayfabing him too, like I'm like, don't tell no one, don't tell Alan, don't tell Steve, I don't want none of our little group. Just and so and Dave's like, he gets it, right? Dave always gets it. He's like, yeah, no problem. And so it actually worked really well. And I think Kevin's like, I kind of thought it was him. I'm like, yeah, right. But yeah, Dave's a good one.
Yeah, no, so it was cool. We were talking, and special shout out. He said he's taking his son to his first concert, which is Green Day at Oracle Park in end of August. I said I'm going to be there too. So he said,
awesome.
let's meet up there. So it's like that's awesome. So it's cool that his son's also a Green Day fan. I said, tell him Green Day is my all-time favorite band. So it's going to be amazing. What an awesome first concert for his son.
That's very cool.
Very cool. But for you, John, yes, glad to have you back, man. It's I missed you. I guess we should inform the Kliqsters what's been going on. I mean, for you, your schedule has been shifted. Care to explain? Well, multiple things. So, that's right. It was last time we chatted. It was before WrestleMania, because after WrestleMania, that's when NXT moved to Tuesday nights. Yeah. Therefore, that was our night for you and I to record. But, obviously for you and with Fight Game, you have to watch NXT, you have to watch AEW, review them with you and Garrett. So, but yeah, kind of explain kind of how your whole schedule kind of changed in the last couple months now.
A lot of things changed. Obviously, NXT moved to Tuesdays, and that was our day that you and I like to record. But the Fight Game podcast, one of our main segments is we give our likes and we give our dislikes of NXT and AEW. We don't go through the whole show. We just kind of give our...
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. And when that switched, but then we also switched networks. We went from the Blue Wire network, and now we are on the Figure 4 online Wrestling Observer website now. It's a paid subscription you got to join, but like it's a really good group. Of course, you get Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez. Their shows are very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio the Promise Thomas has I Left My Wallet. Talks to wrestlers, but at a different angle. Like it's not just about like their wrestling career, but the sports they're into. They talk about their favorite teams. They talk about like he just had Jeff Cobb, like really great. Like I don't want to knock our show because we had a good interview with Jeff Cobb, but like I think Antonio Promise Thomas had the best interview with Jeff Cobb, talking about his jiu-jitsu training, talking about life in Japan, all that stuff. So I know money is a little investment. Of course, there's a lot of these things, but like if you want to go check those podcasts out, we pretty patient. I think people will really love it. Really informative stuff.
Well, and that's the thing is, I saw, God, on Instagram or something, a meme, someone posted, it's like, hey, if you're willing to spend, like, I don't know, $9.99 for the network, WWE Network, or some of these other streaming services, but you can't, maybe put out a couple bucks for your favorite wrestling podcast or show out there, that actually goes a lot farther than you probably think. So, I mean, anyway, I'm paraphrasing, but, what I'm saying is, if you want to hear John's hot takes and his wrestling knowledge, it's worth the investment. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
As since we're plugging stuff now, I gotta plug the Fight Game Media Patreon, and we have a lot of great shows, covers not only pro wrestling, but boxing, MMA. We have a really great Impact wrestling show called Brace the Impact. Those guys are great. Garrett and I, we do a Raw 97 review. We take an old show, we follow it throughout the history and everything. And, there's, like I said, a lot of boxing, a lot of MMA, and so it's a good Patreon. It's only $2.99 to start in the first tier, so it's not a big investment. Please support.
Actually, so I was just thinking about that. So is your Raw 97 reviews been okay? Because remember, I think we talked about at one point, when the WWE Network merged or got bought out by Peacock and things were going to be merged, and it was going to be maybe not till SummerSlam where everything would be over there. And we were, I don't know if it was you or someone else, I was telling, like, man, I wonder if a lot of these these podcasts that do like retro show reviews are going to be affected because stuff that they rely on the network is not going to be there because it's being taken down, being moved over. So for your Raw reviews, has that been okay still with Peacock and everything?
Yeah, they loaded up Raws pretty quickly, so we're good now. We had a hookup for some original tapes of recordings of Raw, so we had that on our back pocket just in case something comes missing.
Nice.
But yeah, I know when WWE moved to Peacock, it was people freaking out like they're buying toilet paper and and wipes. Like, dude, like it was nuts. People were freaking. Oh my god, my content. What are they gonna do? It's like it takes time to reload all this crap and transfer it. People, relax.
Yeah, no, it's. I remember, a few months ago when the move started happening, I was like, I wonder if I should go to Rasputin's or something and just look in the DVD section and try and find some just random WWE pay-per-views that are special to me and just want to have. I should still do that just to have, because, a few months ago, the reports were that they were editing stuff out, to meet Peacock or NBC Universal's standards, community and standards, whatever. And so stuff from ECW and old Raw episodes. So I was like, I wonder if the DVD trade or buying of old DVDs is going to pick up again. So I should still do that.
I think he sold an old WrestleMania on eBay for $100 DVD or something.
Who did that? What?
Dutra. He
sold really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I forget what it was, which WrestleMania, and he said he sold it because he was getting rid of a bunch of stuff, obviously, right? So.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's I know I don't. God, I can't buy DVDs anymore. I hate.
And that's the thing too.
What's going on in the future? I'd be like, I don't need to buy this now and waste my money, but I did, of course.
And here's the thing. So I'll be honest with you, just between you and I and the rest of the Kliqsters all listening right now. So, for the longest time, for years, I've always sworn by, I want to support my local record store. I want to buy CDs, all that stuff. I like the hard copy. But man, I'm at a point now, it's I'm running out of room space. And then I started subscribing to Spotify and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can just look up whatever we want. Tommy and I will go driving. It's hey, what song was that? One song we like. And it's oh, boop, bring it up, boop, start playing it. And it's oh my God, technology. yeah, I'm technology is amazing.
Well, but you know what though? I will not get an audiobook. I have to have the hard book in my hand. I like to feel the paper. I love sitting down with a book and reading. And I read a lot of wrestling books. I love wrestling books. And right now I'm reading this on the Pacific Northwest history. I'm gonna read a Jim Kiniski book pretty soon. So yeah.
Nice.
Father's Day gift. My wife. What an awesome wife, man. Get me wrestling books to read.
And by the way, no, to clarify to everyone listening right now, I still buy CDs if it's like a band that I really love or a local band I'm trying to support. So I still buy the occasional CD, but if it's a CD of like a one band that only has like one song I like, I'm not going to buy it. I'll just listen on Spotify now. And just to clarify, like I still support my favorite band. Still, I know buying an actual CD still helps out and whatnot. But, no, but yeah, like you said, your schedule changed a little bit because of just, weekly television, just how that whole schedule changed. And so, I know you and I, we stayed in touch the whole time, but we're just trying to find time to coordinate, sit down, have a conversation, just catch up on things. And like I told you before is, I love having you on because, as much as I love doing the show reviews, the week-to-week show reviews or pay-per-view reviews, it's nice to kind of maybe look at the entire landscape of pro wrestling and maybe pick and choose a couple topics and maybe kind of expand on just our thoughts about that and just have more of like an open-ended conversation. And that's hopefully we can kind of get more back into the groove of things. I think, I don't know if I speak for you, but you're probably, kind of in the groove now with your current schedule with NXT and everything all over the place. So, definitely want to get back into that routine again of having you on. It's always
that's the goal, fun. Man. We'll figure it out. Might not be every week, but we're going to try to be more consistent going forward now.
Absolutely. Hey, I think I've told you this many times. Anytime I can get John on, I'll take it. If it's once every other week, once a month, whatever, we'll make it work. So yeah, that's the thing was like, you and I were texting, kind of coordinating this. I was like, okay, what topics can we come up with? What can I think about to talk about here? And I was like, oh man, like I was trying to find time between work and like think of stuff. Sure enough, today, man, what a day in just pro wrestling news. A lot happened. And so I figured we might as well just discuss it right here and now. So it was announced a lot more releases from WWE. And it's amazing in the last, 15 months. I was just thinking about this on the drive home today. In the last 15 months, quote, is like pandemic, they've had, I think, 4 or 5 sets of releases. Remember, it was April 2020. They had the first round of like releases. And then April this year, 2021, they had another set of releases. And then they had some NXT releases. That one included like Velveteen Dream. And then a few weeks ago, they had another set of releases that include like Braun Strowman and whatnot. And then today was another set of releases. This one was definitely more from the NXT, even more so the 205 Live roster. We'll go down this list of names here, but John, I just want to get like your overall thoughts. This is a pretty long list here because I think it was like late morning where a lot of different, wrestling journalists out there were tweeting out like these vague tweets of like, something's going on. It's going to be a busy day. Stand by for more info. So I remember I'm sitting at my desk, I'm hitting refresh on Twitter like every 5 minutes to see if something new popped up. But a lot to talk about with these releases here. But yeah, just kind of your initial thoughts, takeaway from this latest round of releases from WWE.
When releases happen in WWE, normally I always feel bad for the talent, obviously, right? I don't want anyone losing their job. But sometimes I look and I can see, there's reasons why. I mean, I think Braun Strowman was a shocker because he was just such a big star, right? He was, but like a lot of them I can see. But for some reason, this group on this Friday really kind of like shocked me, and no huge names. I think a lot of people that could really benefit the company still, and a lot of people I like to watch on my NXT and also see on 205 Live, which I just started rewatching again here and there because one of my guys I really entertain watching is Ike Manjiro.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really talented wrestler from Japan, and I was excited to see him just on finally WWE television. So I started watching 205 Live, and I started realizing, like, hey, 30 minutes? This is like 2 good quality wrestling matches. Like, I could invest in that, like, if I want to get some wrestling in. So, so my theory, since a lot of it was a 205 Live roster, I know, like, 205, I think it was Hulu, I believe, they get the streaming rights to, like, the like when it airs on Friday, they make it the
first priority.
First priority, right? Because if you watch Peacock, you look at 205, they're 2 weeks behind.
Oh, because I remember before Peacock, the Peacock deal, it was on the WWE Network like right away, like live. You can watch it live there. I mean, that was the only way to watch it. So you're saying recently it's now turned to Hulu with the exclusives, or
I don't know when they once it switched from Peacock Network to the Peacock. There's already a Hulu in place, but Hulu's like, hey, what about us? You know, like now Peacock streaming service gets the first, airing of 205 Live. So I wonder if that's coming to an end. And whatever, because there's a lot of like the main event, for example, is
main event's Hulu, right?
Different, there, and also different places in the world just get main event, right? So like I said, Ricochet and Mustafa Ali are the biggest stars in that country, right?
I know, right? The 2 out of 3 falls, like this great storyline that was going on that no one knew about here in America.
Yeah. So I don't know, like if like there's other TV rights fees that other countries have with 205, that's ending, and they're like, okay, we can't just throw everyone in NXT, but like I still think there could have been a place for a lot of these people to, like even maybe if they can't on NXT, bring it to the main roster. They could just be guys that win some but lose more, and they need fresher matches up there on the main roster. Instead of doing a lot of people. I mean, rematches are good; they are very important to have programs and build up to the bigger matches, etc. But like, there's the roster's it feels so thin, even though really it's not, but they repeat so many of the same matches, and there's all these gimmick matches. I feel like I'm so gimmick matched out on the main roster that I don't know. It's very frustrating right now. This is a very frustrating.
Yeah. No, I totally hear what you're saying. And like, okay, lately in the last year plus, whenever there's been releases, like the go-to answer or explanation, at least what like Laurinaitis was giving to staff that were let go, the talent, was budget cuts, budget reasons. And of course, when the fans and reporters hear this, they just roll their eyes, and it's like, oh my God, you guys make billions of dollars from all your TV deals and whatnot. It's like, you can afford to keep everyone and still make a profit. So it just seems kind of ridiculous, which, listen, I get that. And of course, I sympathize with anyone that loses their job. And like you in a perfect world, all these people would maintain their job and careers with WWE. But unfortunately, at the bottom line is, it's a business. These are corporations. WWE is a corporation now. And so for me, when I see people criticize WWE, like, oh, how dare they make that decision? I'm like, I don't think these people that criticize them, it sounds like you've never worked in a corporate job. Like for me in my industry, in the last coming up 16 years, I've seen this evolve, especially in the radio industry, where stations or companies that own stations will buy other companies on the radio stations and merge, and then they're like they've all this they inherit one debt for another debt, and they're like, okay, we gotta save money, so we're gonna cut people. And it's like, okay, you do this job already, we're gonna cut this person, you're gonna do their job as well. Or from like the jocks, it's like, okay, someone in LA is also going to voice track and be heard in San Francisco, Seattle, Salt Lake City. I mean, like corporations, they're going to downsize to save money, and then they're just going to give more work to the talent and whatnot. So it's just like I said, I'm sad to see when people lose their job, but at the same time, I'm not totally surprised, because it's a corporation, and I've seen how this works. And this is done all the time here in America, at least with corporations, big corporations. And I mean, I hate to say it, at the end of the day, a lot of these people are just names and numbers on a piece of paper. And so they're like, okay, who can we get rid of here, and bring down our budget, and we'll save this much more money now. Like WWE is just acting like any other major corporation out there. So that's why I don't go online. I don't go on Twitter or social media and like crap on WWE. It's just the nature of the business. I hate to say it like that. So however, though, with that being said, so I look at all these releases, and as we bring it up here, it's all 205 Live, mostly NXT people. it's not main roster. I would imagine these contracts are not as expensive or cost as much compared to people on Raw or SmackDown that have been around for a long time. Because I was like, I don't know how much these people make that were all released today, but I bet if you combine all these salaries, like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, was that 11? Combine them all, I would not be surprised that amount is still smaller than like one of the main eventers on Raw or SmackDown, if I had to guess, or maybe a couple main eventers. So it might be a combination of, they're trying to save money, but at the same time, we were talking a little off the air. Maybe some of these people were just not picking it up enough, or the wrestling aspect of it all, and maybe they didn't see, long term. It's not worth the long term investment in them, if that makes sense as well. So
this group here, I mean, we'll go through the list, but I could see where they could really help out still, and that's why I'm just really frustrated with this. And one was completely confusing, and we'll talk about as
okay.
Now.
Yeah, no. The other thing too was I was looking at the list here, and based on the number of releases total from like the 205 Raw, I think like right now 205, like people who are still working for WWE as of this moment, you and I record on a Friday night. I think I saw online like it's only 5 people now. So if I think
it's going to end up going into NXT anyways.
Yeah, so it kind of looks like maybe 205 Live is coming to an end. I mean, at this moment, nothing's been announced, but the writings kind of seems on the wall. And what would you do? Maybe who's left over? Yeah, do you just merge them into NXT? There were reports this week that apparently NXT wants to put more emphasis on the cruiserweight division, which that's cool. I'm happy to hear that. I mean, I think that's a title that I want to see more prestige. And I think over the last year with Santos Escobar's champion the majority of the time, I think that belt has been elevated. Even Jordan Devlin and what he brought to the table as well. So, so I'm excited to hear that. My other thing too is like, okay, maybe I was thinking about this, like maybe 205 Live from a budget standpoint, maybe that show just cost them a lot of money between paying for the commentators, camera crew, producing that show, that roster. They're like, the numbers are not there. So like, they just want to cancel it. I was kind of hoping maybe the roster from 205 Live, they could have just been like absorbed in other ways. Like some go to NXT, some go to Raw or SmackDown. I miss the days where people would just show up on Raw or SmackDown, but I feel like we're so used to in the last handful of years where it's like, no, you gotta go to NXT first, then you go to Raw or SmackDown. It's like, no, just send people to Raw or SmackDown and let them, grind it out that way. The other thing too, I was just thinking is, like what you said, like a lot of these guys could be just great enhancement talent. Like go to Raw or SmackDown, they can put on quality matches. I'm not saying like squash matches, but short matches that help put over the talent that are getting the major pushes. And then that way you have fresh matchups every week and not these so many rematches we see time and time again for endless.
Someone you're building up could beat someone to get over, instead of doing like a rematch where you got a 50-50 book it one time. One person loses, the next week the other person loses. Now they got to do some kind of blow-off specialty match, the pay-per-view that's overbooked and overdone. Like 205 Live, I mean, just like I said, it's been like a month and a half that I kind of checked out 205 Live just because of EK Man showing up, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, okay, it's like 2 good quality wrestling matches, but there's no focus. It's just matches, right? And that's fine in a vacuum, like just a good wrestling matches, right? But like, how is it like they? From what I understand, 205 wasn't getting that many viewers on the network, right? And it's like, well, because there's no focus. There's no reason to go watch it, right? And I was thinking, like, how could you – I was, like, thinking to myself, like, how would I build interest in this branding it? Because it just exists. And remember, at the pandemic, NXT, this is when they had no fans in the audience, not even the wrestlers, but they would do they did like this cool little round robin tournament, like 2 brackets, A and B.
Oh, last year? Yeah.
Yeah, when Santos Escobar won it.
Yeah.
And unmasked and everything. And, well, I was thinking, like, they could have done something similar, like, with that 205 show, a round robin with all these guys, and if the winner of that gets a future title shot. And since it's round robin, they had, I think they had 12, 14 guys, maybe even more. They could have stretched that tournament out. At least it's something to do instead of just random match. At least there's a goal to accomplish at the end to win this tournament to get a title shot against Kushida, whoever the champion would be at the time. So, well,
let me ask you this, since I hardly watched 205 Live, from the viewing that you've had over the last month or 6 weeks or so, was Kushida, who's the current champion, was he on there a lot? Did he have a presence on there?
No, I never saw him on there.
Okay, I mean,
just other than the opening entrance video,
Okay,
we would reference him and learning their way up to a title shot kind of deal.
Because the reason I asked, because it seems like lately NXT was hosting all the cruiserweight championship matches.
Yeah.
So based on your what you've been saying, it just sounds like 205 Live was just random matches every week between guys that were under 205 pounds. So yeah,
throw a bone out there and say, hey, Kushida's gonna defend the title against Tony Nese. Check it out. He's been on a winning streak on 205 Live. Maybe the fans aren't watching it, but they're like, hey, he's on a winning streak. It's Kushida. We like him. Maybe we'll check it out. Or maybe, we all know it's going to be a good match, so maybe people would kind of tune in.
My thing also is, and not going on a little bit of a tangent here, but just the whole 205 Live brand, I was never fully on board on, just because I just didn't like the idea of them focusing on these smaller guys, but it's okay, these guys, they got their own show on paper. That's great, but they're not good enough to be on Raw or SmackDown or NXT on a regular basis. That we have to just force them over here. So I just felt like they were just this little island of misfits who were not. They're like, oh, these are the small guys that have on our roster. And I was like, well, no, I think they deserve to be blended in and have time to shine on Raw or SmackDown, NXT on a regular basis. They're all very talented. And,
they tried that, remember, with some stuff early on, but then they started...
With the purple tape on the ropes and stuff? Yeah.
But, all of a sudden, Norm Dar's doing, stuff with the girls. And
Alicia Fox, yeah.
That kind of stuff. And it just came like a joke instead of supposed to be focused on the athletics of the lighter weight wrestlers, right?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that too. It's okay, because you and I, we grew up around the same time, as far as we grew up in the 90s with WCW and the emphasis that they really put on the light heavyweight title. I'm trying to remember. It's all these different names for the same weight class. But it was just part of the show. It was just okay, here we got a matchup here, these two lighter guys for the title, or these guys going at it for the contendership, and then eventually maybe someone who was a champion and lost the title, they would just move on to someone else that sure might be bigger than them, but it was like a natural evolution, a segue moving up in the, just their place on the roster and place on the card. So it was and that's what I was kind of hoping for, is maybe these 205 Live guys, they would do their thing, but then they would, maybe they've been there for a while, they'll move on to something else. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for with NXT right now, as far as Santos Escobar, champion for a very long time. Now he lost the title, not too long ago. He's now moving on up to, looks like, the NXT North American title scene with Bronson Reed. And I'm like, that's great. I think he did a lot for that cruiserweight title, or at least what was given to him. And now he lost the title. He's moving on up. And so I'd love to see what he could do with Bronson Reed, and just long term, maybe become eventually champion. Then maybe eventually he drops that, and then he can move up to the NXT championship. So it's like these stepping stones. So that's, to me, that's great, because then that just shows, one's character, one's career is just evolving. They started down low and they're moving up to the top, and that's a great person to get invested in long term and cheer for. So that's what for me, the cruiserweight division, at least when the cruiserweight title was brought over to NXT away from WWE Raw and SmackDown, and remember, was it Angel Garza and Leo Rush kind of were like the first ones going after like the rebranded NXT cruiserweight title. That's what I was happy about, was that, okay, NXT is going to give it more time and treat it more prestige. So maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to think like a blessing in disguise is like, okay, maybe with 205 Live going away, it'll get more proper airtime on NXT. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to think of how to spin this around into a more positive, viewpoint.
Here's a problem too. Like in the 90s with the cruiserweight division, Japan's lightweight division, even the X division, early TNA.
Yeah.
Those guys were doing stuff that the main event guys weren't doing.
Yeah.
That stuff. Now, everyone
Keith Lee does it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, it's so hard for those even smaller guys now to stand out even more because, shoot, everyone down the roster from the first match up to the last are doing dive outs and, so that's another hard go with if you're going to do a lighter weight brand. But I think NXT's done a good job, at least, when the title moved over there, they really focused on it. And as you said, there's going to be some more emphasis on the cruiserweight title on the NXT brand. So, yeah, I know but if the 205 Live was just going to be matches, then shoot, might as well get rid of it. There's no focus. But damn, those guys that you cut could have been, moved up and used as maybe push talent, or maybe talent like in the 90s, in the mid 90s, when you had like guys like Tony Anthony came as TL Hopper and Tracy Smothers was Freddie Floyd, Alex Porto. Like, they were there to be, like I said, win some, lose most, but their job is always to make the star that they're pushing look good, and they're good. Instead of hiring some guy to do a job who comes in and doesn't do a good job because he's not that, someone recommended him and he's not good. Like, good quality enhancement talent or job guys are very valuable. So
yeah. So let's. I'll say this real quick, and we could touch on it more in a little bit. At the end of, I know I'm jumping ahead, at the end of this week's episode of NXT, we saw Roderick Strong return, and he held that cruiserweight title. So it was like, is that a little foreshadowing of what his goals are? But we'll get into that more later. But so maybe that's another example of more emphasis on the cruiserweight title. But yeah, let's just kind of go down this list real quick of just the names, and just see if any of them, stand out. Like, some of these are a lot more shocking than others, I will say that. So the first one was Tony Nese. He was released, and then the second one was what? Oh my God, I want to butcher it. How you pronounce it, John?
Arya Davari,
that's right. They were like the first two that were released earlier today. And that was a shocker because they've both been like very much the foundation of 205 Live from the beginning. Yeah. And Tony Nese is a former cruiserweight champion himself, at one point a few years ago. So, they've been around. I don't know, like, if I'm thinking from a budget standpoint, maybe they were making pretty good money because they've been around for a minute, but when they were never like spent a lot of time on the main roster, so I don't know if it was like this big contract. But Tony Nese, just physically, he looks like $1 million. He takes pride in showing off his abs every week, and he's someone that can easily be on Raw or SmackDown, just doing great banger matches and help putting people over. Like Apollo Crews right now doing great things on SmackDown. He could be like a good enhancement opponent. That's something that's jumped to my mind. But if there's anything else about those two guys that maybe stood out for you.
Yeah, Tony Nese and Davari are just good, solid workers and always had good quality matches. What I'm shocked about is they might not be stars, but they could have good matches with the young talent, especially when they start doing the coconut loops again. Like, those young kids are gonna need to work with someone, they're going to work with other young kids and, coming up. Like, they need someone to kind of guide them. And that's where I thought, like, when I saw Breezango cut, I was like, first of all, they just won a match as Imperium, like the last time they were on TV, like a couple weeks ago. And these are two veteran guys, especially Fandango, who's been seen it all, been there for a long time. And you send him on those coconut loops with the young talent, he's going to teach him a lot. Same thing with Tyler Breeze, and I think that was a big mistake. I think that's what I would use them for. That's what they should have been. That's what they're there for. Is have good quality matches, but also help guide the young talent up and give them experience with working with people with experience.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is, for me at least, I felt like I always got better when I was surrounded by more talented people around me and they help elevate me. So I would think same thing with pro wrestling. It's like a lot of these young green talent, if they're around older veterans who are very skillful, amazing, they'll just naturally get better over time and can learn so much. So I agree with you on that one. But another release that was super heartbreaking to me, you were very vocal on Twitter this morning about it as well. Yes, Everrise was released as well. I was shocked just because you and I were talking as far as they had a match on NXT this week against with Hit Row. Yeah, Hit Row. And it was announced, I think, the next day that they were going to get like an actual YouTube show on WWE's YouTube channel, which has millions of followers. So I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And they've been doing like a little weekend show on, I think it was on Twitter, like this little
live. It's like a 10-minute show on WWE social media, and like doing really well. And I didn't even know they had this show until someone told me, "Oh, you would think you'd like that. It's pretty entertaining. It's like 10 minutes. They're funny." And I watched a couple, and I was dying. Like they just had great timing, and with their comedy, and they're good workers. They're not someone you're gonna main event, but like they're gonna put on good quality tag team matches, and they're gonna make their opponents look good. They're valuable. The Kliqsters in the 80s were valuable. WCW, that State Patrol, they were a valuable team. Later on, WCW later on, Disorderly Conduct. Remember those guys?
Yeah.
They did two gimmicks. They were Texas Hangman and Disorderly. They worked twice on. They're like just good guys that you just beat. But these guys had a personality, and I think this is going to be a mistake that's going to be corrected sooner than later. I think they will be back because like I said, they're getting a show based off the social media stuff they've been doing on WWE, and just seems a total mistake to me with those guys.
And that's the thing is, like, I remember when they first kind of debuted with, I think it was pre-pandemic, and they came in and their body language is very quiet, and it looked like they were new to the whole, NXT world. Very much were just, I don't want to say jobbers, but they were just like enhanced talent, put on a good match. But then like, it seemed like over time, whoever the powers that be, I guess, let them just be themselves and show their personality. And they just started forming, it's like the personalities were just amplified, and they were starting doing these little things. They would just come into the ring and be a little more obnoxious and talk, and they were very vocal in the ring. And then, the different spots that they would do were, some were very comedic, but some were really good. And yeah, they just started developing the whole Everrise rules, just, being vocal with that. And that just started getting over. And I mean, when I hear that, I think of Adam Sandler in Billy Madison's O'Doyle Rules. But was there another one? Was in the 80s, wasn't it? Was another one? Blank Rules. There was another chant. But I always think of O'Doyle Rules from Billy Madison. But it's so just over time. And then the social media stuff. And then they would be like seen in the background of different videos.
Yeah. They were literally featured on the last 6 weeks, a segment on NXT.
Yeah, with the mugs and
backstage deal. I love I think Dakota came up to him. He's like, "Wait, you want to take a swing at me?" The Matt Martell. It was for me, and everyone's like, "John, you don't like any kind of fun in wrestling. You only want your serious wrestling." I always get that crap, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. I like levity in pro wrestling. and it has its place for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's good levity to me, like a little segment like that, but not a whole show of it. I don't want to see a whole show of the tongue-in-cheek bullshit. Like I want to. Oh, sorry for cussing, but I want to, give me a laugh here and there. That's fine, but let's still focus on the wrestling part. Right?
Well, for me, I'm with you as far as I don't mind like a loud, fun, or if they're more heelish, obnoxious personality. But if they go in the ring and start taking care of business, then it's fine. Like I'll put up with that, or I'll enjoy that because I know it's going to lead to still a good match, a quality match. And that's what Everrise did. They would go in, still deliver great matches. Sometimes they would get squashed, but sometimes they'll put on longer matches. And I think for a while, I was kind of like, I wonder if these guys are going to maybe get a title shot down the road or work their way to it. But I mean, the other thing too is like, ever since earlier this year with the post-Dusty tournament, I really felt like the tag team division's finally getting better again. Because remember, for a few years, they had a great tag team division. And I think like for a year or so, it got really kind of deflated. But then it's like in the last 6 months, it's really starting to get elevated again. They got a lot of tag teams again. And, MSK and then Grizzly Young Veterans and Thatcher and Ciampa. I mean, they're putting on some banger matches lately. I'm like, this is really fun. And Everrise was a part of that mix. I mean, they were getting matches with all these teams. And so even though they were losing, they were still in the mix on a regular basis. So I was like, there's like this little bit of renaissance in the tag team division. And Everrise is very much a part of that and deserve all the credit. So that's why I'm just baffled of this release. I was like they're still new. I mean, I don't know if they were making a lot of money. I mean, I don't know.
They're starting to make that money on the social media. So like with the shows, and so that's why I think like someone's gonna be like, oh wait, this is a mistake. So I'm hoping, hey, I'm usually don't champion, but like, hey, get out there, tweet out. Hashtag Everrise Rise, Everrise rules. Like, just get that out there, because they're talented. They're talented guys, and I hope they get re-signed. I think they will. Everyone liked them.
Well, maybe was it like last year? Drake Maverick got released and he got brought back pretty soon. So I wonder if Everrise can be in the same situation and create like a social media campaign to get them back. So no, I'm with you. I was telling you on Twitter, they knew their role and they seemed to really embrace it and do it well. And they organically got over, especially in this pandemic era when there was no fans in attendance. So they were getting over through the fans watching at home, through social media, through anytime they were on screen, even for 30 seconds or 5 minutes, they made it work. They were entertaining and were becoming like hot acts and memorable. So, I said, I hope I'm with you. I hope they come back. And if they do, I will definitely support them even more so they don't get ever released again. So, the other one too, let's just go power through these real quick. So yeah, Fandango was released. That was a shocker. Tyler Breeze. So Breezango, the tag team itself, is now gone. This is interesting. As you said earlier, Fandango, I mean, he was in WWE, I think, for 14 years. Remember, was he Johnny Curtis originally? Then he got repackaged as this generation's like Disco Inferno as Fandango, the whole dancing gimmick and
Chris Jericho WrestleMania.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a big opportunity for him. But then when he got paired with Tyler Breeze and they did the whole Fashion Police, that was something that kind of got over on SmackDown. That was like a little quiet thing that just took off. So they became a really fun tag team. And then when they got back to NXT, Tyler Breeze went first, and then Fandango came back from injury, and they were able to reunite as a tag team. But, I mean, they were doing great things in NXT in this most recent run. I mean, they didn't get like a full gimmick change, but they seemed a little bit more serious, but still fun compared to they were maybe on SmackDown. But
they got the tag belts for a transitional run there.
Yeah.
So I think Imperium to
Birch and Lorcan.
Yeah. So, like I said, they're quality veterans to have on the show because you want quality matches and they can work with anyone. And they do. Like, if you watch their matches, they're completely different than what you see. Like, nowadays, like AEW, you'll see a tag team match. It's like a million false finishes. It's like it's the same, almost like the same routine, honestly.
Yeah.
So what Fandango would do, like they would do stuff just like this last freaking match of Pure, and I rarely pop for a lot of stuff anymore, But when Fandango went to hot tag Tyler Breeze, he came in like, okay, hot tag House of Fire. He gets in there, boom, Imperium shuts Tyler Breeze down with a big clothesline. Like, shut him down, like holy shit, he shut him down like this. I thought this was the hot tag. This is the part where they're supposed to make their big comeback, right? But they change the script and make it different. Big stop him, big clothesline, and then the Imperium Fabian Eichner's like, got this in the bag. Goes to pick him up, inside cradle, 1, 2, 3. I popped. Like what a freaking finish! And then now they're gone, and it's like, but that's the value. Like they can get people thinking differently. Like, okay, we don't need to do a big comeback like that. We don't need it. We can only tag once in. We can do one tag. We don't have to tag multiple times. Like they did so many different things. They're so valuable because you need player coaches. There's great coaches in NXT in the PC, but when it gets in the ring, working with talent, you need people to execute those coaches' vision and people to teach them about their mistakes inside the ring when they're happening, right at that immediate feedback when they get back to the locker room. A Johnny Curtis, a Tyler Breeze, like, hey, this worked, this didn't work. And they tell this. Oh, it just frustrates me that those guys are gone.
God, I can imagine I would hope maybe they had those conversations with like MSK or something like that.
Yeah, 100% sure they did. So.
For them, I mean, Tyler Breeze, he has the wrestling school with Sean Spears. They're business partners and friends. Tyler Breeze also does or was doing Up, Up, Down, Down with Xavier Woods. I just wonder, like with these releases, I wonder if current talent, if contracts are expiring, later on this year or next year. I wonder if, would people be a little upset that their friends are being let go and would they want to stick around for that? I mean, that was something I saw on Twitter, kind of people were creating a little commotion over. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself and getting paid for your own life. So, let's see. Also, was August Gray was released. That guy, I mean, while he didn't get a lot of TV time on NXT Prime, I mean, I think the best people can remember him. He was he got signed in August, and he was in October. He was on TV, or November, as one of Timothy Thatcher's students, and Thatcher was stretching him, and then August Gray got one over on him, and they had a little beef going. Then he shifted over to 205 Live, and that's where he's been ever since. I mean, that one I'm shocked because that guy's not even been there for a full year. It's like, how can you release him? I mean, apparently everyone loves him. He has a great reputation, apparently. I mean, that's what I was reading online earlier. But,
like with August Gray, when he's, it's funny. Like my friend and I were talking one day, and we're like, I always analyze talent. Like, what's their ceiling? What can we do with them? And August Gray I saw as a guy I can put on TV, a guy that can get people over, a guy that can put me a good quality match for me. And those people are valuable as hell. They are. I mean, but then I can't see well, could I don't know if I could push this guy. How would I push? But then when I started watching 205 Live because of Ikem and Jiro, they put them together as a tag team because Austin Gray does this 80s kind of retro kind of gimmick. It's the jean jacket. Ikem and Jiro wrestles in a sports coat. That's his gimmick in Japan. At first, when I first saw it, I thought it was goofy, but then the guy's charisma is at a 12, and you get sucked in. Next, you're cheering along for him and stuff. And I thought they make a hell of a team together. When I watched them, this is where Austin Gray could be. They could be a great babyface tag team, and I guess I saw this clearly with these two guys, and now they broke that up, right?
Yeah.
He's 26, I think.
Yeah, so he's still fairly young,
and he was in Evolve and stuff. You know what? He's 26. Go out, get your name hot on the Indies again, right? Hotter than it was before.
In 2-3 years, yeah.
And then let WWE come calling again and give you even more money because now they need this hot property again. So
yeah,
that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then let's see, Bollywood Boys. they release, which a lot of people remember them. They were like Jinder Mahal's right hand man, when he was WWE champion. And they really, I think, helped elevate Jinder Mahal's value as far as, they were like his manager, or they were, his manager / like bodyguards. They were taking all the bumps. Like Randy Orton was the one throwing them all around, throwing them on the table. I mean, there's that classic clip of Randy Orton like threw one of them and he looked back like, ooh, like he threw him too hard. And I mean, they would make the interferences, make the saves. I mean, they really helped Jinder get over as a heel champion. And then I know when they went to 205 Live, they got to kind of be more themselves, like this more fun, like, hot pink and flamboyant look and stuff. So that was cool. I mean, Jinder Mahal, I know he's kind of making a comeback on Raw, and he has two different guys with him now, but, my heart's with the Bollywood Boys. That was a special time.
Yeah, they were good. They're good in their role. Just like, I mean, if I'm going to keep one or the other, I would keep Everrise than the Bollywood Boys.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I just think, Everrise is a little better in the ring, and, but yeah, they're there for a good amount of time. Though, let's not forget. I know it sucks.
5 years, I think.
Yeah, they had a long run, probably longer than a lot of people expected. Longer than they even expected that.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one that was a little bit of a shocker to me was Marina Shafir, who a lot of people know as one of Ronda Rousey's 4 horsewomen, not the other one with Bayley and Becky and Charlotte and Sasha, but also the wife of Roderick Strong. I mean, I guess I was shocked just because it seemed like she was getting a little TV time with Roderick Strong at the end, after Undisputed Era broke up and Roderick was kind of lost and trying to find himself and what was he going to do next. So she was on screen with him. It seemed like, she has been working out with WWE for a couple years now. She had some matches, I remember, with Jessamine Duke. I don't know, man. Is this a case that maybe she just never fully got the whole wrestling business as a whole? I mean, I'm trying to understand, like, she was never on TV a lot. So I don't know. Is this a case of, just didn't really grasp the whole side of it?
Yeah. I mean, I never saw her. I didn't, from what I saw the footage, I didn't see her as, developing as well and stuff. She had a lot of, you got to hide her in tags and stuff like that. But I was a little shocked once Diamond Mine debuted and we saw who was in the group and Roderick Strong. Like, if you watch those vignettes for Diamond Mine, there's a female or two, throwing strikes. So I felt like, okay, she might be coming soon to do something, maybe help interfere all of a sudden and help Roddy win a match or the group win a match. But, maybe, I know she had a lot of injuries during MMA and that kind of derailed that career. So who knows if it, happened in wrestling side or just not getting it as fast enough. And, or maybe she wants to also, it's okay to be at home with her son and everything as well.
That's true as well. Yeah. Let's see. Also, Arturo Ruiz was released. I remember him with the whole Brazil. Which one? Capoeira. Yeah. I mean, I remember him, when they were still at Full Sail and he was doing the matches. And then, most recently he was getting some for the Raw Underground stuff. And, he's a legit badass fighter, but he never really got any momentum. I think he was always, enhancement talent as well. So
book that guy to be like something. He's so easy to book, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it's simple. Vignettes for 6 week training, hitting bags. Next, he's working out with someone, beating someone out. Now he's knocking people out in training. Now he's coming. Now for 6 more weeks, he debuts and he's knocking fools out quickly. And you're like, fuck, dude, we don't want to get in the ring with this guy. He's going to mess you up, right? He's just a killer.
Yeah.
How easy is that? And then you create Diamond Mine, where he's perfect for.
I know.
Like, that's why, and they have a good, it's a good group. It's a cool group. We'll talk about it here soon, but like, he had a face like a villain. Like, he just had that, like,
a Bond villain.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, like, this guy would be fighting James Bond in a great fight scene. Like, how do you not know what to do with this guy? It's simple. It's shit.
I know. Yeah. And then Kurt Stallion was also released, who was kind of a fixture as of late on 205 Live. He had a little run on NXT when he had a little thing with Santos Escobar. And I was like, oh, cool. Like this cowboy guy, right? Is he Texas or
Texas?
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, it's like cool. Someone different, a good old boy, sounds like. It was like, okay, cool. And then he lost to Santos Escobar, and he kind of just fell back to 205 Live. And I think he was just was he have a wrist injury, I think? Yeah. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that, like, he didn't get a lot of momentum as well. So it was like, I mean, it's just another example of, like...
He's in that same boat as August Gray, like, just go back on the indies, get yourself over even more, try to get yourself hotter than you were before, and opportunities will be there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one, this was actually kind of a shocker for me, was Killian Dane was released. So,
yes.
I mean, God, Killian Dane, I mean, he got over with Sanity, and then they went to SmackDown and were never seen again, and he came back and kind of reinvented himself as this badass big monster. Had a thing with, was it Riddle, right? I think he had the rivalry with Riddle for a bit.
Damian Priest as well.
Damian Priest, yeah. So he was just killing guys as this big monster. So that was, interesting to see that. But, and then, as of late, he was working with Drake Maverick, and they had like this fun, odd couple, tag team going. So it seemed like they were doing pretty good. I mean, they were in the mix, winning some matches, but they were losing some as well. But it was like, I think they had some tag title opportunities, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. They made a fun team. It was fun. I think they kind of executed that poorly. I think it really would have got over. They would have done something differently, a little tweaked it a little bit. But I always like Killian Dane. I love his work. He's a big man. Seems like a smart worker in there. I love that he focused, like one match I was watching, like the whole story's about the ribs, and he's just on it. He just nothing that he did offensively veer from his target, right? And I'm like, God, I love seeing a wrestling with a damn story in it. Like he's a storyteller, and I like badass Killian Dane. And here's a guy. Okay,
yeah,
bring him to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
And let him beat people fools and build him up and let him be a new challenger for someone. And, gosh, come on. You could have found something for that big guy to do.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, with Killian Dane. Like you said, he's so big. And I think those guys can be very valuable as far as either they could be a big monster that a young or, a baby face can take out and overcome the odds, or vice versa. I mean, they could take out some... heel, sneaky weasel heel, and they can be the big monster to make the save. And, so it's interesting. I mean, his wife is Nikki Cross. She's still there. And I don't know, did you see the photo of her new gimmick as the superhero?
I did. People were polarizing, man. They're freaking out. And I'm like, this is the same company that had Hurricane Helms and
Mighty Molly, right?
And Mighty Molly and Hurricane Helms is an agent there. So
yeah. So Killian Dane, I mean, who knows? Maybe go to Impact and rejoin with Eric Young and kind of get Sanity going. And oh my God, the other guy, that was Insanity, Alexander Wolf, Imperium was going to say, he's
they're already doing a playoff Insanity, anyways. In Impact, they have Violent by Design. Eric Young has a group there.
Yeah. Just keep adding to it. It's a mixture of all that.
I mean, if you're AEW, he'd be a good guy to get. Tyler Breeze would be a great guy to get. Fandango would be a good guy to get. Of course, they have to cut some people. Yeah.
Well, actually, so maybe that's how we'll wrap this up real quick. Well, okay. So last release was Tino Sabatelli. That was the last one that came out later on this evening. A lot of people were like, wait, wasn't he gone already? So apparently he was released in 2020, went to AEW, did one taping. There were rumors, allegedly, that he leaked a bunch of the results early. So a lot of people were like, is he a spy? Because then he re-signed with WWE that October 2020. So everyone's like, Was he sent there by WWE to sabotage them? I mean, conspiracy theorist. So, you know, he has like a good look, tall guy, former football player. Remember, I think, you know, he goes out with Mandy Rose, so he's a lucky man in life anyway. So, it's. I mean, but he's someone we hardly saw on TV, so maybe it's a case of someone who just wasn't getting it. I don't know. I mean,
though age doesn't really bother me, but like I can see them, maybe the age thing. It looked like $1 million, and you know, he's okay. He's made a lot of money in football beforehand, and you know, it's just extra funds, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Just staying busy in this life. He'll go back. Well, that's the thing. I think was it Jericho who's the one that called him out. I think, if I remember correctly. So, you know, if you're on Jericho's bad side, I don't know if he has any luck going back there. But that's the thing. A lot of these guys, I mean, hopefully, I think you and I were texting earlier about this, or was it someone else? But I was saying, you know, it's amazing how many people have been released in the last 15 months. If you take everyone who's WWE released in the last 15 months, you can create a pretty awesome promotion on your own with that lineup, that roster right there. But at the same time, I wonder our jobs are going to be kind of tight because AEW already has a stacked roster. Like, there's no reason they should sign anyone else right now. They got so many talented people there. They're not using everyone. I mean, think about it. Like, was it January 2019 when they had their first debut press conference? How many people that were there that were like their first group of signees? How many of them are actually still getting like significant TV time outside of the elite guys? I mean, they've hired so many people since then that are getting much more screen time. So,
Tony Khan did say when they talked about the debut of Rampage that they were expanding the roster. And I heard that, I'm like, expanding? Let's decrease the roster. Let's get rid of some of that dead weight you got, you know, on the bottom of that. You know, I'm not gonna name names, but you know, it's easy to see. Just going dark and elevation, you can kind of figure out who you can probably cut. And you know, and but hey. That sounds like, you know, being harsh, but like, if I'm gonna get a quality guy like Tyler Breeze, I can sure cut a couple, you know, that are just there, you know, that you know, there's a lot of talent in AEW that is just there. But let's add some professionals. Let's add Tyler Breeze. Let's add Fandango. Let's add Killian Dane. Let's add Everrise. So
my thing is like, for AEW per se, since they're like still a new company, I think a lot of people are like, oh, AEW is just all, how they phrased it. Oh my God. All former oh God, I'm spacing what the name was. But for me, it's like, okay, they don't want, people are saying, oh, they shouldn't just sign every former WWE person that's been released. But at the same time, I'm like, but they came from like the best company. They know how to, they're very talented. They know how to work. And the knowledge that they learn from WWE, they could probably pass it down to that young AEW roster and kind of help overall. Maybe be, you know, they're active on the roster, but they could be like a second set of like coaches, managers, or, you know, behind the scenes, just kind of help pay it forward.
There is that, you know, when you have a guy like who's been losing a lot on television, and then you bring him over and he's winning, that kind of makes your guys look bad a little bit, but there's ways to do it. Like, there's ways to do it. Like, yeah, you don't push them like that, or you let them, or you sign them and shoot. Like, since AEW has a deal with Impact, you know, say you sign Tyler Breeze, hey, go over there for 6 months, do some Impact stuff, right? We'll bring you over here, or go do some indies. We'll pay you. We'll pay you, but you take extra bookings on indies, get yourself, you know, relevant again, where people are seeing you as a winner, then you bring them back to your show, you know?
Yeah.
At the same time, you can get rid of Dr. Luther, you know, like, make room for these people. So.
Well, that's the thing, too. I'm like, okay, AEW is stacked, but I would love to see some of these people go to Impact and kind of maybe expand that roster a little bit. But, like, Ring of Honor, I listen, full disclosure, I'm not going to act like I'm this long time big fan of Ring of Honor, but, you know, I know about their existence. I know so many legendary people have come through there, but in the last couple years, I've been trying to follow Ring of Honor more just because of how its legacy and how many great people have come through there. And, you know, to their credit, I think you and I have talked about this, you know, in our previous Ring of Honor reviews. as far as I think they've been doing a pretty good job of this reboot coming out of the pandemic. They're kind of reestablishing themselves, kind of really focusing on the wrestling and the pure title and the pure championship and the pure rules. So it's like any dramatic people that were on the roster that were employed by them are gone, no longer with the company. The core group that they have now seem really good. And maybe, a handful of these people can come to Ring of Honor and with their star power, bring more eyeballs to Ring of Honor, help elevate the talent as well. So that's why I'm like, I really hope Ring of Honor can, they're owned by a pretty big company as well. I think Sinclair. So maybe they can, bring some big names to Ring of Honor and kind of help elevate Ring of Honor back to like a higher level of being recognized by the masses, if that makes sense. Like, I really think Ring of Honor could be the one to benefit from this.
Yeah. It's not all just going to be AEW that's going to sign these people. Granted, they have the money and they have the national television, but ROH has television, Impact has television. I know, so people, all these people are going to be okay, and I think, a lot of younger guys will be back and stuff like that. So. Yeah. So no, we'll see how it goes. I mean, like I said, I wish them all the best, and I hope they bounce back on their feet soon. And luckily, as more states open up and independent promotions are able to put on shows, so hopefully, at least from a timing standpoint, after their non-compete clause run out, I think it's 30 days if it's NXT, or 90 main roster. But, so hopefully in the coming months, they'll be able to start taking some bookings again and work some indie shows and find some work pretty soon, sooner rather than later. So we'll keep track of these people and see what's next for them. So, all right, let's power through this real quick. Just some of the highlights from this week's episode of NXT UK. I know, John, we don't necessarily have to maybe go through all of the stuff. Maybe just if you want to tell me some of the things you liked and didn't like as well. One thing, okay, I'll start with this. I saw you tweet out you don't like, was it Magic coming to NXT UK or Hocus Pocus? Yeah, they have a character, Isla Dawn. She's the White Witch, and she wore red a lot. It was weird, like kind of like from Game of Thrones deal. But they've kind of started this crazy. They got more into the witch side of her, like And I'm like, wait, don't do it here. Like, that's cool. You're doing it on Raw, and I'm not watching it. Like, just
Alexa Bliss.
Keep it over there. No hocus pocus here. I don't need lights shimmering when she walks into a room and all that. Like, even like Aoife Valkyrie, who's a really talented young girl, and she's like, kind of like this. She had a segment here where she shows up. There's a young girl who, Emilia.
They were interviewing,
yeah. She's like a legit little amateur wrestler and everything. She looked like future prospect. And here comes Aoife Valkyrie in, and she kind of flies. The lights go out in the building, and she starts doing like 4 rolls in the ring. And I'm like, so because she always has that like lights down deal with her. I'm like, but you wrestle with the lights fully on when you go in the ring in NXT. Okay,
I was going to ask you. I was like, was my TV acting up? Like the screen went darker? No. Okay.
Like even like with Sada, I think it was Meiko Satomura. Or no, Kaylee Ray. She was like watching a Kaylee Ray match, and like they showed her in the background, and she had like this. They shot her with like this purple hue around her, and I'm like, okay. And then now I see this, and like she gets in the ring, and the light. She trains the ring with the lights dim. Like,
okay.
I'm like, you wrestle on television with the lights fully on.
Yeah.
Unless you're now going to be the Sin Cara of NXT UK and have dim lights, like very strange.
In a spring.
But that being said,
or trampoline, I should say.
The main event: Joe Coffey, Rampage Brown, Ilja Dragunov, and honestly, baby, I was like, I'm like a multi-man match. We're seeing an NXT main event takeover. We're seeing on pay-per-views. We're seeing Raw, it seems like, and SmackDown. Like, just so many multi-man matches, and I'm over it. But then I'm like, okay, these guys tore it up. Mm-hmm. It was intense, physical. It was all 3 men are wrestling on mutual respect. Like, who's the baddest dog in in the kennel, right? Where and it's just like, we're gonna go out there and fight and let the best man win. And Ilja Dragunov came out the victor, and it was just a fucking awesome match. It was really good, and I'm not a big fan of 3-ways, but this one really worked.
Let me and I'll just say this real quick, and then so Ilja won, and then he's celebrating the ring, or at least recovering, and out comes Walter, and he knocks him out, and he's like, "You want the title?" Like, I don't speak German, but he was like, I'm guessing it's like, "You want a title shot?" And he's rubbing the belt in his face, and then he stands on top of him, puts his foot on him, and held up the title. So it looks like a rematch is going to happen. Their classic that we saw back in October, which I thought was match of the year. I mean, that was my match of the year, but
and it's cool to see Walter do something totally out of character, right? So it makes you think, wow, he's actually fearful of Ilja. Even though he won that first match, but barely, he sees him as a threat to the title. And I think Ilja is finally going to be the one that does.
I was going to say, at this point, he's going to be the one that takes the belt off Walter. Walter's been champion for a long time now. It's like, and like I said, I've been watching NXT UK on a regular basis, but I know Ilja has been kind of going through this phase. Like, is post-traumatic stress the right word, or at least like the after effects from that beatdown he took from Walter? And it's like whenever he gets slapped, he kind of like goes out of character, like a Jekyll and Hyde type of thing, right?
Yeah, and he's like kind of like scaled back. It's too much violence. It was too violent. Like he kind of had to scale back.
Yeah,
his violent urge. So he
take like the
red eye.
Yeah.
So it's some good stuff there in NXT UK. To me, it's the best hour of wrestling on television. I'm excited about that, the new wrestling show of the week. Like, I look forward to Thursdays. Unfortunately, it's on during the afternoon, so I have to stay off my Twitter because I like to, I don't like to be spoiled. I think it's better for the viewing if I don't know who's going to win and who's going to lose. And as a wrestling fan, and we all are wrestling fans,
yeah,
it hits me in that wrestling fan soul. Like, and that's why I say, leave the hocus pocus out, please. Please, NXT UK.
It's like I said, I've been trying to keep track of NXT UK as best I can. What I love about NXT UK is how simple everything is, as far as how matches are created, the motivation. I like how a lot of times, it could be two guys, in the back, maybe they bump into each other, or they're trying to one up each other. Like, all right, you want to settle in the ring? Let's go in the ring. Let's go. Like, it's simple.
Yeah. NXT Prime, as you call it, right? A lot of matches get booked in the parking lot. NXT UK, a lot of matches get booked at the PC.
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
It's
like my favorite.
That's the thing. It's like, you out weight lifted me here. All right, let's take it to the ring. I'm pissed off. Let's go. Come on.
There's something on this ring over here. Let's go see what's going on. And there's like two people discussing. And
I love it. It's simple. I mean, they're all trying to one up each other, and they're like, one gets pissed off the other. It's like, all right, let's settle in the ring right now. So I love it.
The main focus is wrestling, and every match. The wins really do mean something here, and it leads to the bigger matches.
And the other thing too was it Mark Coffey and the Shaw Samuels match? That one, the finish wasn't like an actual major finisher. If I remember, I have to look at the finish here.
You over with the one-legged crab, right?
Yeah. Let's see. After back and forth, Coffey stunned Samuels with the enziguri, then followed up with a diving European uppercut for the pinfall. So it was like,
oh yeah, that's right.
So what I'm getting at is like, it wasn't like some big, over the top finishing move. It was like still like more traditional wrestling moves, right? I mean, is that like a safe observation to have as far as?
I mean, any move, big or small, if you get it over, it gets over, right? I mean,
yeah.
Who thought Umaga's thumb was going to be so over? But it was, right? Like when you first started, like, the throw, how can that be? After you see like drivers and all this other crap, but if you do it every week and it goes over, next people start recognizing, then it gets over. It's as simple as that. And they had a good match. I love Shaw Samuels, big boisterous guy, comes out,
suspenders,
jaw jacking. Him and Noam Dar make a great twosome, one of the best twosomes in wrestling. Like, I just love them together because Noam Dar is just cocky, arrogant. in some ways soft spoken, but then you have Shaw Sam, he's just loud and great. It's just a perfect combo. Yeah, that was a fun match to open the show.
Yeah, so it's I'm with you. Like, okay, so I'm like, I was trying to think about this. I was like, okay, I gotta get back on NXT UK. I gotta stay on the regular watching this, especially because I would hope maybe they'll have some live fans in the near future as well. A couple of things. One thing I saw you were promoting on the Fight Game Facebook group was Jack Stars, his promo, his upcoming match with Tyler Bate. As far as you really like just some of the personality we got to see come out from him in this video package.
Jack Stars is always kind of in the gatekeeper. He's kind of like when someone debuts NXT UK, they put him with Jack Stars. They can have a good match with Jack Stars, and probably not going to do much with the guy. Like Jack Stars is a really good worker. Been around for 8 years. Smaller. It kind of reminds me. I don't know if you're probably too young, but Dangerous Danny Davis, trainer OVW, of course, but a smaller guy, smaller babyface like that, and good worker. So the deal is, like, he's always been kind of gatekeeper, but everyone respects him in the locker room because he's this tremendous talent. And so Tyler Bates, who is this Heritage Cup champion, which they do round rules. It's very, if you like scientific wrestling, it's like a great championship.
Yeah.
And Tyler Bates, he's one of the best in the world, goes up like, hey, Jack Stars, I want to wrestle you. I respect you. I want to give you opportunity for this title. And Jack Stars last week was like, I don't know, I don't know if I'm ready yet. And he's kind of like always like this soft-spoken guy. And so now they come to find out this week he did accept, and they do this great vignette. And Jack Stars, who's been, like I said, soft-spoken, cuts this great passionate promo about this is his opportunity. He's not going to let it go by him. He's going to do everything he can. He's going to show why he's one of the best in the world. I'm like, fuck. I was already excited to watch the wrestling that's going to happen in that match. Now I'm really rooting for Jack Stars to win.
Yeah,
and it's just the stakes were raised, and there's more intrigue in the match, and I'm pumped for next week. We got that match. A-Kid, who's tremendous, for George Devlin, who's also an A+ guy. Like, dude, it's gonna rock, man. Like, I mean, if you're, like I said, if you're a wrestling fan, you don't want to miss the next week's episode. So I'm not on the payroll. I'm just passionate about it. I'll champion that brand as much as I can. So.
That's a new bucket list item is, remember, when we did our icebreaker questions, like bucket list item we want to do in wrestling. I always want to go see like a Wrestle Kingdom in Japan. Number 2, I want to go to like an NXT UK show in overseas. That's like a new goal now.
I want to be creative in NXT UK. Imagine working that roster so deep and talented. Make my life easy if you had that crew. So.
You and Shawn Michaels, because that's Shawn Michaels' baby, right? That's his project.
Shawn, I think Bloom, would be a format.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, maybe I can hang out with HBK and stand in the shadow of the giant Matt Bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last thing we'll touch on with NXT UK was this video package of a person walking up to a table, pulling out a contract. Said Blair Davenport. They signed it. You didn't see the face at all. But based on the body, it's like, okay. And obviously the name's like, okay, it's a woman, but we don't see the face. A lot of people are speculating that it's Bea Priestley, who's officially signing with NXT UK. I like the video package and the music and stuff. It was really cool. It was not a super long video, but it got me excited already. So, yeah, your thoughts on this mystery new signing for the women's division?
I've heard about Bea Priestley signing. I think it's been reported out there already. Yeah. So when I saw this video, I'm pretty sure that's going to be her. That's going to be her new name. And, I haven't really been too impressed with her, like when I've seen at AEW, and I haven't seen too much in Stardom. But, I mean, a lot of people rave about her. Maybe it just didn't have the right opponents in AEW for me to have her stand out, but we'll see in NXT UK. So it's a very stacked division in the women's roster as well. You got Meiko Satomura, Kaylee Ray, who's one of the best in the world. Of course, Meiko Satomura is one of the best in the world, but and Ginny. There's a lot of great talent there.
For Kaylee Ray, do you think she moves to NXT Prime or stay?
I would. Yeah, I think so. She had like this great long reign. I loved her her little gimmick was the Forever Champion. I loved it.
Yeah.
And that chick, man, she can go. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
I really enjoy when she's on television and she's wrestling that ring. And also in promos, I think she has that she has a really thick accent, but it's like, I guess was she Scottish? I'm trying to remember.
I think so. I think she's Scottish. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love it. Like she's just like, yeah, this girl's gonna fight, man, and she's gonna go. So she's different, and yeah, a change of scenery would be great for her.
Yeah. And then, so I'm looking forward to all that stuff. And then, last thing we'll just touch on real quick. So NXT this week, the big finale, or the way the show ended, was after the Kushida, Roderick Strong match. Roderick Strong pulled out the big victory over Kushida. It was a non-title match. They both congratulate each other, show some respect. Adam Cole comes out, him and did I say Rod? I meant Kyle O'Reilly. Oh my God. Yeah. I was totally spacing. Sorry. I was already looking ahead. So Kushida, Kyle O'Reilly were in the main event, non-title match. Kyle O'Reilly wins. Adam Cole comes out. They go fighting. Samoa Joe follows them out. Kushida's by himself in the ring. All of a sudden, we see a hooded guy come out. It starts beating up. Kushida rips off the hood. It's Roderick Strong. Boom. He's finally back. And he has like a Diamond Mine logo on his hoodie. And then a couple other guys join him. It's Tyler Russ, Malcolm Bivens, and what's the fourth guy again?
Hideki Suzuki. He's a Billy Robinson trained catch wrestler, badass. Which that shocked me. I know he signed as a coach,
like just a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, and so I'm excited to see him as a player coach. So
yeah,
he's different. He's like a Thatcher. I'm talking style of technical wrestling, but he doesn't have the big personality, but he's going to be a silent killer type of guy. So
definitely just at the end. So Roderick Strong, which is weird. He didn't acknowledge Kyle O'Reilly or Adam Cole, even though they were kind of out of the ring already. But he didn't go after them. He went after Kushida, grabbed the cruiserweight title, stared at it. Had the shave head, a little bit of a new look. Man, a lot to kind of like break down with this real quick as far as, one, your thoughts on him leaving Undisputed Era, joins a new faction. Okay, actually, let me ask you this. What's better, faction or stable? Which phrase or term do you like using?
I always said stable, but the kids are just calling factions. I don't know. Like, it was stable. I always say stable forever, and then all of a sudden, faction. Everyone says faction. So
yeah. I'll say stable. So, yeah, your thoughts on just Roderick Strong looks like now the leader of his own personal stable now.
Like Roddy, I remember watching early ROH and like early ROH television when they got on, I think it was Access, right?
Yeah.
And it was
Destination US.
HDNet.
HDNet. Yeah.
Which ended up being Access. And like every time he would talk, I'd be like, ugh. Let Roddy talk too much, like he was always like good wrestler, but like his talking was like, ugh. But like, God, what? Before the breakup of Undisputed Era, like he was doing some really good promos and passionate promos, and when obviously he was really like that. He really went out to improve his game in that because he's already a good wrestler. Like I think he really made strides with the mic, and so as a leader, I think he can hold his own with the mic as that leader group. But you also got Malcolm Bivens, their manager, there.
Yeah.
He can carry the load when it comes to the promos. So I think Roddy can set it up and Malcolm Bivens can finish it. So I think it'll be a good balance.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And so their gimmick, looks like more of an MMA style. And actually, I was kind of worried. Like Tyler Russ, I was like, where's he been? He hasn't been on TV for a couple months.
He was hurt.
Was he hurt?
No. I thought that. Like,
okay.
I haven't seen him, and then all of a sudden that's why he was.
So I mean, and I love how NXT ended on a cliffhanger. It's like, okay, we got to tune in next week, find out what their motivation is. Classic storytelling. So a couple months ago, we saw Roderick Strong and his wife go to William Regal and hand the envelope to them, which I think a lot of people assume was like their exit papers or resignation papers. I wonder, maybe it's a swerve. Maybe there's something else in the papers. Maybe it was like he wanted to go train MMA more. I don't know.
Or maybe he was given his quote-unquote resignation, but then Malcolm Bivens came calling back and has him under contract.
Because Malcolm Bivens always kind of like looking for, talent or opportunities, and that's how he's trying to push Tyler Russ. And I like their pairing. Tyler Russ is very quiet and just more about the facial expression. So it's interesting how this is going to evolve. I mean, Diamond Mine, the name doesn't really like gravitate towards me per se. I mean, just it's like I was like Diamond Mine, like, and like the logo is just like two like
the diamond, right? So like so
diamond in the rough.
Yeah. So I don't know. I love those vignettes though. I love that music they use, and I was like, I can't wait to debut. Who's gonna be? And I was completely wrong with my prediction. So
Who'd you think it was?
Well, I thought it was Artur Huas, and
okay.
I thought that one girl that also did Raw Underground, she was a blonde with the shaved side, Emily.
Oh,
it's so hard to remember all these names. I used to be that kid. I remember everyone's name.
Yeah. It's much.
Like I thought it was that, and those type of wrestlers I was kind of putting together, and I was told nope, so.
It's interesting because I wonder what Roderick Strong's motivation is. I wonder because we saw how distraught and upset he was. Undisputed Era broken up. It's like he's losing his brothers. Like the brotherhood's gone. So maybe he wanted another stable. So it's a band of brothers that he can just gravitate towards. That's maybe one idea I was thinking. But I'm kind of curious, where can this go as a new stable? In this, you and I were talking off the air, is like, is there like too many stables in NXT now? Because, a couple months ago, AEW was getting a lot of crap from people. Like, there's too many factions, man. Too many to keep track of. And now it's like, if you think about it with NXT, it's like, okay, Diamond Mine, Legado del Fantasma, Imperium, I guess technically, when Walter shows up, and it makes them like a three-man group now. Tian Shaw, am I pronouncing that one right? Yeah, with the Hit Row. There was one more. I'm totally blanking out. People are listening, yelling at their phone right now. There was another one. What am I thinking of? The Way. So. Yeah, so I mean, they definitely, they got a good handful of faction stables now in NXT, which for me, I like stables. I mean, you and I, we grew up in the Attitude Era. Raw had DX, the Nation of Domination. A couple years later, Right to Censor.
In the 80s, you had every heel manager had a stable, right? The Heenan family.
Yeah.
Foundation. I mean, Jimmy Hart had his group, and so the thing is, the difference between AEW and NXT is that all those groups you listed with NXT are all featured and pushed, where you have an AEW, you have groups that are there but show up here and there, do stuff here and there, have no focus is the main thing. One group's a total goofball group. They threw a bunch of stuff together and a mixed plate of like all the leftovers in the kitchen, and the wingman, like that's what they are. Like it's you're just trying to do something with it, but like no one has focus there. At least the Elite does, and Inner Circle does, and the Pinnacle has focus, but with NXT they all have focus. Imperium, I would to me, it's more of a UK group, but they are there. They have a presence.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still, like I said, 5 groups. But the way is featured, right? Tian Shaw is featured.
Legado.
Dynamite, Shawn Angle, they're going to be featured definitely for the that's definitely near future. So
it's Legado del Fantasma
featured in the North American title situation. So they're focused. They're focused.
Hit Row is like flirting. They're like floating around right now.
They're going to do some big stuff. So yeah, there's focus on these groups. I keep saying that, but that's the difference. AEW, they put them all together and like, hey, we have them, but they don't know what to do with them. So
I wonder.
Might give them more of an excuse to be around, but who knows?
Actually, I'm just thinking about this. Like, this is just early call. I mean, we're still 6 months away, 5 months away. hey, War Games will be coming up again pretty soon. So I wonder, they're setting up all these stables to another War Games match. But remember the first NXT TakeOver War Games? It was 3 teams of 3. That's my prediction too. It will be a multi War Games match. Yeah. So I know the last few years it's been back to more like a traditional 4-on-4. But there is some continuity in the NXT universe as far as the first one, when they brought it back, their version was 3 teams of 3. So Hit Row's technically 3 men, Legato's 3 men. Maybe the Way can add someone, I don't know. But Imperium could be 3, with Walter in the mix. So
or Diamond's 3.
Yeah.
Or there could be 4, and maybe the Undisputed Brothers have to get together for some apparent reason. You never know.
No, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. I mean, so we're already talking later on December time, but so anyway, like I want to be. I'm excited. I think Roderick Strong's one of the best workers, and to hear his motivation coming off of the Undisputed Era breakup, that's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. And it's going to be really cool. Just see what they can do. And, maybe will his paths eventually cross with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly at some point. Where's Bobby Fish in all this? He had like a little bit of a comeback recently, but
he got hurt by Oni, right? Oni Lorcan took him out. So he had that. They have that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. What's next for Diamond Mine? I know we had some other topics we're going to get to in NXT. We could save those for another time. I mean, some evergreen stuff we'll get into, just observations we noticed, but I'm excited. I think they look cool. If the hoodies go on sale, it'd be a cool new merch item to have the Diamond Mine look and look like a badass like them. And I wonder if it's going to be more of like an MMA focus. So maybe will they all have different ring gear than what we used to see from them? I mean, that's all yet to be seen. So I just like how NXT ended on a cliffhanger, and it's like, oh my god, we could tune in and next week and listen for all this stuff. So it's NXT. I know you and I have not said this to you on a podcast, but I think NXT post WrestleMania, or I guess technically for them NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver, they've been awesome. Moving to Tuesday nights, I don't know why, but I think the show has just been hitting on all strides for the most part. I like how they've been rotating pretty evenly, all the different titles, main eventing a show. So like tag titles, Cruiserweight, North American, NXT Championship, and women's tag title. Like they've all been rotating main eventing, and that's like 5 weeks of television booked right there. So it's just been a lot of fun. Maybe because they're on Tuesday, to not worry about counter programming to AEW Dynamite. They can just be their own thing again on Tuesday. So
show showing up, add a new depth to the show. Adam Cole came in like a freaking, like a freaking bomb, just exploded everything, and he just elevates everything when he's on the screen. So I mean, it's a lot of fun, a fun show to watch. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about. There's so much more we can get into as well. We'll save it for the next time. So, John, thank you for this little bit of a marathon episode here of In The Kliq. Please just remind all the Kliqsters once again, where can they find you and keep track of all the audio goodness you bring to us? As I said, you can, check us out on the Wrestling Observer website, Fear 4 Wrestling Online. For the Fight Game podcast, it is subscription based. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's LaRoccaJL. It's LaRoccajL. I usually have a lot of takes. I'll be live. Well, I won't be watching the show live on Saturday night, but later on Saturday night, because it's on a Saturday, we won't be reviewing our show. Yeah. But I will be giving my thoughts on the AEW Saturday Night Dynamite. So, and those are always a lot of fun.
Awesome. Baby Huey, follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey 83. At In The Kliq for everything else. Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. InTheKliq@gmail.com. Get the merch. As always, thank you for the support. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Been doing my best to stay on top of that, uploading stuff there. So please check that out. Watch the videos, like, comment, share the videos as well. But John, but more importantly, it's been awesome having you back on tonight. And looks like we'll be back on a more regular schedule again, I'm hoping for. But thank you for making the time today as well. I appreciate it.
As always, thanks for having me on, man. It was a blast.
Awesome. On that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.